You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Didn't you coach Burt Reynolds?
Yes, I did.
Was he any good?
He was a defensive back.
I know. Was he any good? I said.
103.9 FM LI News Radio presents The Weekend Crunch with Errol Marks and Josh Silverberg.
Hello, Long Island, New York, and around the country. This is The Weekend Crunch. I'm your host, Errol Marks, my co-host, Joshua Silverberg. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, you can listen to the show every single Saturday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. New York Eastern Time, only on 103.9, the LI News Radio Network, brought to you by New York Sports Scene Magazine and the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. And you can go to the website at worldwidesportsradio.com, but you can download the app, yes, right at your fingertips. It's very, very simple. It's very, very easy to use. All you got to do is go to Apple, which is the application store for Apple, and you put in WWSR. And Android, all you got to do is put in the application stores, Worldwide Sports Radio Network. But I want to wish everybody a happy new year. We're very happy to be here at 103.9. It's so interesting with everything that's gone on in the world, with the COVID-19 situation, Black Lives Matter. We had the crazy voting situation right now for the presidency. But we come together in the world yesterday celebrating the new year, 2021, with the 2022 year just completely demolishing anybody's thoughts to remembering a good year, because that was an absolute horrendous year. We're looking at 2021, hopefully the transition, the new year, not only for New York sports, but for everything that's going on in the world. And my partner in crime, sitting over here waiting to speak because he's got so many things to say, Josh Silverberg. What's going on, Josh?
What's going on, man? First off, Happy New Year to you, Speedy. Happy New Year to you as well, to all the listeners out there. Thanks for lending us your ears this past year, and for letting me, Errol, especially be on the show the last few weeks and going forward, dude. It's been a phenomenal ride, and we just want to keep it going forward.
Absolutely. And you want to know something? When everybody steps back and realizes what the world has gone through, you have to look forward to the new year. You have to look forward to the New York sports world. When you think about the Jets, obviously winning their last two games, knocking off the Rams, and then knocking off the Browns this past week, you would think you'd sit back and say, wow, the Jets might be a pretty good team next year. But guess what? The Jets don't have a quarterback in line. They got googly eyes over there, and hopefully by the end of Sunday, we will be talking about a new head coach moving in as the new Jets head coach. The New York Giants moving forward, Joe Judge, he's looked good as a head coach. Let's see what he could do his second year. And maybe with a new GM, Gettleman might be fired at the end of the year, especially some of the stuff I have read over the last couple of days where the Giants ownership is not satisfied of what they've seen the last 2 years with Dave Gettleman. So we will get into that as well. And the New York Knicks and the Brooklyn Nets. And I call them the Brooklyn Nets because that's their name, one. And number two.
I was just going to say that's their name.
Well, that's their name, one. But sometimes I just want to call them New Jersey because when you think about what this team has done the last couple of years and really what they did in the offseason, taking shots at the New York Knicks and really the fan base, that they want to draw the fan base away from the Knicks fans, which is understandable, especially when you have Kevin Durant there and you have arguably one of the best point guards in the league who thinks the earth is flat, Mr. Kyrie Irving, but then losing Spencer Dinwiddie this past week to an ACL injury. You have to look at the New York Knicks as a team that is young, talented, and more interesting to watch the last really week and a half. I talk about the Nets, and I'm not going to take shots at the organization because I like what Sean Marks has done. I don't like the Steve Nash hiring. Absolutely makes no sense when you look forward to where this team is. They're a super team. They're an NBA championship competitive team, and then you bring in a rookie coach. It doesn't make sense. And then you bring in guys like Amari Stoudemire, who's never coached in his life. He's the defensive coach because you bring in Mike D'Antoni, who's an offensive guru. You look at this coaching staff, I don't think this is a Hall of Fame coaching staff. So you're looking at what the Nets were when Spencer Dinwiddie was in the lineup. You have Jared Allen. You have Karis LeVert. They are a talented team, and they looked really, really good. Even bringing Green in, they look like they have more depth. But to me, this is a team that has been struggling in the beginning hashes of the season with Kevin Durant trying to get his legs under him, and he's looked good, and Kyrie Irving. You can't depend on these guys to do everything. You need second-hand offense if you plan to beat these top teams in the Western Conference, like the Lakers, like the Clippers. So you have to look at where the Nets are. You're not satisfied. The Knicks have looked better in the first 5 games of the season than the Brooklyn Nets in the first 6 games of the season. That's why I've been more impressed with Tom Thibodeau, what Tom Thibodeau has been preaching to the Knicks fans and the Knicks young players. And now you're looking at a player like Julius Randle. Who would have thought that he was going to have a triple-double, at least in one game this year? But he's looked fantastic the last 2 games this past week. So I've been very impressed with Julius Randle because he's showing his leadership, and maybe he could be looked at as a big, huge trading piece at the trade deadline to land maybe another young player or a first-round draft pick. So, Josh, I've been very impressed with the New York Knicks, not so impressed with the Brooklyn Nets.
It's a fair assessment to say because we've looked at it the last, week and a half, and it was interesting. I was watching the Nets game, the loss that they had to the Hornets, which you did call was going to happen. And I've also noticed that Steve Nash is not the one that's coaching them on that final possession. It's all Mike D'Antoni that's doing the coaching, which I can't believe Yes actually showed that. I'm surprised they showed D'Antoni coaching it over Steve Nash because that kind of makes the power of authority, I feel like, a problem when your assistant coach is kind of the leader coaching the final possession instead of you being the head coach. I know we see it in the NHL sometimes. An assistant coach draw up something on the final play, final 30 seconds or so when you pull the goalie, but the head coach is always in the huddle. And it just doesn't feel like that when you see that at times with the Nets this year. It just seems like there's a power of authority that they got to figure out. As far as the Knicks go, they've been fun to watch, man. I look at the whole situation with them. It's a lot of young players. Now, they have a lot of injuries. Obi Toppin out, Emmanuel Quickly's out, Frank Ntilikina just got hurt, Alec Burks is hurt, Dennis Smith Jr. is hurt. The crappy thing about the whole thing is Quickly and Toppin are injured, and you want to see them develop. The problem is they have injuries right now, and they can't play, so you just hope that they can come back strong, but they're still playing tough. That's the key, right? You don't want to see them lose by 60 points. You want to see them in the games. The Indiana game, they could have won if Quickly didn't get hurt. I mean, the Philadelphia game, they got rocked against the better team. Toronto, they were in it to the end. Toronto's been underachieving this year. They're better than what they should be. So to me, I think the Knicks are only growing, but I think give the Brooklyn Nets some time. You got to give them time to gel. I know losing Dinwiddie hurts a lot. We'll see where they go from there and try to find
hurts
another point
a lot.
guard.
They're going to struggle at that position.
I agree because they don't have a backup, and that's going to kill them. I think let's give this team some time. They're still going to be in the Eastern Conference conversation.
The Brooklyn Nets are going to be favored to win the Eastern Conference, even without Spencer Dinwiddie.
Yeah,
no, they shouldn't. No, they shouldn't. This is a team that's put together like you're taping them together. Kevin Durant hasn't played in over a year and a half. Yes, he's a superstar player. He's got to prove himself. An Achilles tear is a huge tear. I don't know if he's ever going to recuperate to that top player. We've seen so many players get a tear in their Achilles and never were the same player. Yes, right now, but we don't know how strong that Achilles is going to be. We don't know if he's going to play a full season or he's going to be healthy for a full season. So to say that and then losing a guy like Spencer Dinwiddie for a whole season ACL tear, that's losing a quality offensive talent, a guy that averaged 20 points a game. So to say that they're going to be okay and they just got to get their feet right under them, I don't know what you're talking about, because if it was my feet, I'd be worrying that I'm losing one of my talented point guards. So you know what? I think you need to pull up your shorts, Mr. Josh, because you're lost.
Well, my shorts aren't down, and I'm absolutely
I don't know. You might be wearing tighty whities like Speedy.
Look at it this way. When you have Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving and guys on your team, and you have that star-studded amount of talent, you should be in the Eastern Conference mix.
I'm sorry.
It should not be anything underwhelming of that.
Superstars should put you there.
No, I'm saying you should not be underwhelming of that. It would be a huge disappointment. Look, I don't think they're going to an Eastern Conference. I still think Miami, Milwaukee, those teams are
give me a break about Milwaukee. They look terrible, too. The Knicks rocked them to compare what the Milwaukee Bucks are.
Who's competing against them? You're going to say, I could see Boston. I got to wait to see how Kemba is when he comes
76ers
back.
will look good. What's wrong with the 76ers?
No, they look nice, the 76ers. But again,
how about Orlando? What about the Magic? First time they've been 4-0 since Dwight Howard's Orlando Magic.
Dude, it's 4 games in.
I don't care. And you know who looks like a player? You know who's looked really, really good? Do you know who's looked really, really good for Orlando? Markelle Fultz, a guy.
It's about time. I mean, look, the dude was number 1 overall. I mean, it's about time. He should look good.
So because the dude was a number 1 pick, a number 1 prospect, he's got to look good. Okay, that's what.
Of course, that's how.
Get out of here! How many times do we
take the number 1 pick?
Have you remember the last? Hold on 1 second. Do you remember Anthony Bennett that was drafted by the Cavaliers?
Oh, that was a pick that should have never happened.
So you're an analyst. You're the guy that was there. You were one of the guys. One of those scouts.
I am on an FM dial.
Oh, I'm sorry, Josh. Josh is on an FM dial, so everybody listen to Josh Silverberg. Listen to what his ruckus has to prove about when it comes to number 1 top draft picks. They should be stars. Give me a break. How many times have we seen top picks from the New York Knicks never survive after 2 years?
I'm very angry about that.
I am angry because you're the one that actually came out and said it's okay they lost Spencer Dinwiddie. They just got to get their feet right under them.
No.
Get out of here.
No, I did not say it was okay. I said it's going to be a huge
Speedy,
loss.
did he not say that? Did he not say that, Speedy?
I did not say it was going to be.
Yes, he did.
I did not say it was going to be okay. I said they will figure themselves out, but losing Dinwiddie is a big loss, and they need to find a replacement for him.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, as Speedy is kissing you know what, like he always does.
Oh, wait a second. So we're going to sit back and say that Speedy's trying to kiss my you-know-what because he's trying to make a point that you did say that. You did say that.
I did not.
And now you're lost in translation. Maybe you should hang out with Bill Murray or something.
My translation is status quo, my friend.
Yeah.
I've been status quo since I got into
you know what your new nickname is on the radio? Spaceman. We're going to call you Josh the Spaceman Silverberg because you're spaced out half the time, and I wonder if you're actually listening to what we're talking about.
No, I completely know what you're talking about, and what I said to you was I think losing Spencer Dinwiddie was a big loss.
No, that's not what you said. Fine. You said it in a way where, they just got to get their feet right under them.
Yeah, I said they will get their feet right under them.
Anyways.
When you have Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, they will.
Anyways, the Knicks have looked very, very impressive. Thibs has really spoken high on some of the young players that the Knicks have been starting. RJ Barrett has looked good in certain aspects of his game. His defense has gotten a lot better this year. His shooting in certain parts of the game, it kind of worries you and alarms you. And when he gets to the hole now, he's starting to hit his foul shots, which is very, very important moving forward because the guy is very aggressive and he gets fouled a lot when he goes to the hole. Mitchell Robinson, this man, if he actually ever discovers a shot, this guy could be one of the big top young big men in the NBA. He's really athletic, very talented. When he gets into the paint, he's almost unstoppable. He's a great shot blocker. I love what I see with the New York Knicks and the teamwork and the animation that you see on the sidelines with Tom Thibodeau. I mean, he's hilarious. When you see him get angry at the defense, he's wearing a mask, so you really don't know what he's saying, but the faces he makes, they're hilarious. I can't stop laughing when he goes to call a timeout and one of the players do something stupid, and he goes out there and he's pulling him to the side. He's got his fingers up and he's waving his fingers up like Dikembe Mutombo, but you can't see his mouth move. You just see how angry he is. It's really funny. So I love his personality. I love what I see with Tom Thibodeau, and I think he was the best man for the job. I said that for the last 2 years. I believe he was the best man for the job. The fact that Phil Jackson in this ownership all these years wouldn't give Tom Thibodeau his dream job where he wanted to be. He always wanted to be here in New York and to give the Knicks a winning championship competitive team year in and year out. Now finally we got him, and now you see what defense can do when you transition from offense to defense. This is a team that can absolutely compete with any team in the Eastern Conference. And right now, the way they look, they can win more than 20 games, which is very, very impressive what we've seen so far with this young team. When we come back, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get into some baseball conversation. The New York Yankees and the New York Mets are right now at status quo. I have some thoughts on what the Yankees can do when they can maneuver some contracts and bring in some pieces that can make them even better in the new season. When we come back here on the Weekend Crunch. As you guys know, this is a Weekend Crunch. I'm your host, Errol Marks. My co-host, yeah, he talks a lot. Yeah, he annoys me a lot, but he's my co-host, Joshua Silverberg. Remember, you can listen to us every single Saturday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. New York Eastern Time, only on 103.9, the LI News Radio Network, brought to you by New York Sports Team Magazine and the World Wide Sports Radio Network. Little big pun, Bronx. We're here in Strong Island, New York. Yes, I'm loving it. It definitely styles and profiles me every single day of my life. Yes, I gave you a little Ric Flair. I like to add that for good old Joshua Silverberg. But I love old hip-hop, from the Bronx to Brooklyn, even from Staten Island, from the Wu-Tang Clan. It's great, the transition of what we've seen over the years to the garbage that we've seen now. And I say it's great because we're starting to see more and more old-fashioned hip-hop come back to the radio waves, and hopefully it continues. I just don't like what we've heard on the radio. I know the kids like these stupid dances. Some of the stuff that we hear from Drake, it's still sellable. The Weeknd, love it. But the garbage some of these kids talk about and they sing about. I mean, some of these songs are about somebody's dirty socks, their dirty underwear. I mean, do you think I care about Lil Wayne's dirty underwear? The answer would be no. Well, that's true too. I mean, I know we talk about candy bars and ice cream cones. I mean, I don't care. I mean, I'm all about listening to the music and listening to the words, and the words just completely sicken me. But anyways, what's going on right now with the great and powerful old baseball season?
Other than Tomoyuki Sagano, the pitcher from Japan, who is
Tomoyuki Sagano,
the Mets, and Yankees still waiting on DJ LeMahieu, there's literally nothing going on. I mean, we heard that the final two finalists for Springer is the Mets and the Blue Jays. That was confirmed. Springer's camp feels that neither team has given him what he wants in terms of money, because apparently Springer wants 5 years. The Mets want to give him 4.
He's the best center fielder in baseball. You pay him whatever he wants if you want a top center fielder over there in New York.
It's not about the money. What I read was it's about the years. He wants the security. He's going to get his money from the Mets. It's just he wants an extra year. He wants to make sure that he gets that extra year so he doesn't have to go back to free agency at the age of, 35. In regards to Sagano, the Japanese pitcher, they've compared him to a mix of Masahiro Tanaka with the kind of prime version of Kenta Maeda. So, which I guess is the typical Japanese pitcher. He could either be a number 4, he could be a number 2, a number 3. I mean, they're not really ace pitchers, but it's more starting pitching depth the New York Mets need.
The Yankees are a team that a lot of people are worried about because the Yankees have come out, and Hank Steinbrenner came out and said COVID-19 has really screwed up some of the transition of money that they wanted to bring in to the offseason to bring in some free agents. But all in all, DJ LeMahieu is the big name that the Yankees are trying to bring back to their organization. Over the last couple of weeks, we've been hearing the Dodgers' name get brought into conversation. We've heard the Padres get brought into conversation. And the Yankees are still sitting back and playing with fire. And what I mean by that is DJ LeMahieu is a big part of that lineup. DJ LeMahieu is the middle of that lineup, especially what you saw, what they did in the playoffs and what they did in the second half of the season. Without DJ LeMahieu, the Yankees don't make the playoffs.
I know you said it, but the Padres, I think they're done after Snell and Darvish, and then they got the Korean shortstop as well. So I think they might be done. Look, the biggest thing, Errol, for the Yankees is Toronto, because if the Blue Jays don't get George Springer, you know they're going to be all in on DJ LeMahieu. That's what it's really going to come down to.
There's no way the Blue Jays are going to make a move for DJ LeMahieu. I know everybody keeps talking about it. He's not going.
I think they will. They're going to give him whatever he wants.
It's the Padres or the Dodgers. He's going to go back out west.
The Padres don't have the money anymore.
Well,
they got Snell, Darvish, and
they don't have money. They still have one of the richest owners in baseball.
They don't need LeMahieu. They just got the Korean shortstop, so their infield is set now.
DJ LeMahieu, who won 2 batting titles in 2 different
they have Eric
National
Hosmer,
League and the American League, 2 different leagues.
Hosmer,
Eric Hosmer. Is that the same Eric Hosmer that was on the Kansas City Royals? Will I shut up? I mean, this whole segment is you about the New York Mets, and then you go right in there and cut me off about the Yankees. You cut me off before I can even fill in what I think the Yankees should be doing.
Eric Hosmer, Hae-Sung Kim, Manny Machado, Fernando Tatis Jr. That's the infield. That's the team that the Padres are going in with next year. They don't need LeMahieu anymore. The Blue Jays are going to be the biggest team that I think threats the Yankees. I still think he goes back to the Yankees, though.
Well, I don't know if that's going to happen because I haven't heard anything. But there are some players that you have to look at as the offseason progresses. I do believe Hader is a guy that the Yankees really, really liked. They've liked him for the last 2 years, and I love where the Yankees have come out and said that they're not going to go out there and just spend money and throw money away on players now this offseason, especially with the money that they lost with the whole the whole regular season last year. 60 games was not enough for the Yankees, and the Yankees lost a significant amount of money, not only with the stadium, but some of their sales, jersey sales, hat sales, where they make their bread and butter. But there are some players that you're looking right now in the offseason. If they decide not to bring back Tanaka or Paxton, I know the Yankees don't want to spend money, but the longer the wait continues, the more interesting Bauer's name gets brought up with the New York Yankees. I'm going to tell you why. Bauer expects $200 million.
He's insane.
He also, I've heard stories that he expects over $250 million.
I heard that too. He ain't getting that.
But
No,
what
that's
I
not
think, if it keeps progressing, it makes more sense for the Yankees to make a move for him for a $160 million contract
Of course it
for
does.
about 4 or 5 years. And if you do lose DJ LeMahieu, it still makes more sense to bring in Didi Gregorius because you only have to sign him for a 1-year deal, $3-4 million deal, or you can bring him in for 2 years, $6, $7, $8 million, and he will come back. You move him at shortstop. You move Glaber to second because he fits better at second, and then you can start. You still have Gio Urshela over there. You still have one of the best power first basemen in baseball. So you still have a very significantly real good defensive infield in baseball. The question is, if you decide not to bring back DJ LeMahieu and it fits better to bring in Trevor Bauer, the question is, as a New York Yankee fan, does that make more sense? Does that make more sense to bring in a pitcher that's only going to pitch every 5 games, or bringing in a hitter that plays almost every single game of the season? I think it makes more sense to bring DJ LeMahieu back, but the Yankees, their weakness right now is just starting pitching because Tanaka and Paxton are not sure things for coming back in that rotation.
I'm actually glad you did bring up that point about rather paying the LeMahieu than paying the pitcher. I was actually talking to my father about that. He wants the starting pitcher, obviously, for the Mets, and I said to him, no. I said, you pay the guy that's going to be in your lineup every single day rather than the pitcher that's going to pitch once every 5 days. That's just how it is because the guy has more impact. That's why also the player every year wins the most valuable player is an everyday player. It's never a starting pitcher. You always pay the everyday player more than the starting pitcher. And I agree with you 100%, Errol, in the sense that they need to pay LeMahieu obviously more than a Trevor Bauer. LeMahieu, like you said, he is the New York Yankees. He's what the New York Yankees need. They need that kind of differentiation in that lineup. They don't have that in their lineup because if they lose a LeMahieu, they have either power bat or strikeout. LeMahieu sets the tone for that team. He adds something very different to that lineup and a different element.
I will say this about hockey that's coming up, and everybody's been talking about the Islanders and Matthew Barzal, the contract. Lou Lamoriello, I've been reading a couple of stories the last couple of weeks that Lou Lamoriello expects Matthew Barzal to agree to a contract worth about $7 million before Sunday when the players are supposed to meet up at camp. The hockey season's right around the corner. We're talking about mid-January for the hockey season to start, so it's going to happen quick. It's going to be very, very interesting moving into the season with some of the least amount of acquisitions you would think that the Islanders were going to bring in. You still thought in the offseason the Islanders were going to bring another offensive player like a Mike Hoffman, but Mike Hoffman decided to sign a low, really not absorbing contract to St. Louis where they could decide if they want him after the preseason or decide to move away from Mike Hoffman. I thought bringing in Mike Hoffman would help Matthew Barzal, take a lot of pressure off of Matthew Barzal offensively, and they really didn't bring in any offensive firepower that you thought the Islanders were going to bring in the offseason because they didn't have the money. That's the problem with moving forward with the Islanders. It's not the defense. It's not what we saw in the second half of the season last year because they lost Pelech. Pelech came back in the playoffs. You saw how important he was in the defense and what the defense rotation should be with Pulak and everything like that. So moving forward, going into this season, you need Barzal to sign so he doesn't miss any training camp. You don't miss him early in the season. You need to give this kid all the backing that he needs to be successful as a 23-year-old superstar in the NHL. Sorokin. Everybody wants to see the young rookie goaltender. Sorokin is back. He's here. Well, he's not back. He's finally here in New York, and he's going to get his chance. He's going to get his chance to be the superstar that the Islanders believe he's going to be. This is the number one goaltending prospect, and some people say could be the next big superstar goaltender in the NHL. And now you look at the Rangers. The Rangers had Lafreniere. They got the number one pick, and everybody keeps talking about some of the young players coming up and the transition of these youngsters that we're going to see in the next couple of years. The problem with the New York Rangers is their defense. Trouba, who was overpaid for $8 or $9 million a year. I don't know why the Rangers decided to go with that move. It didn't make any sense, but the Rangers need defense. So obviously the availability of bringing in a player like Trouba really made sense to them at the time. I think they should have kept
up anything to give him either.
They should have kept Shannon Kirk because Shannon Kirk had a better season, and he's the same type of defensive player as Trouba. Maybe Trouba's a little bit better as a defensive player.
Yes,
he is.
Defensive player than Shannon Kirk.
Really? What a better plus minus. I want to hear that. Don't make any excuses. Shannon Kirk had a better plus minus. So don't tell me.
Before you have a heart attack on the air, why don't you let me answer the question first?
No, because you're a Ranger fan. Okay. You're a Ranger fan, and you like to stick up for the Rangers.
Okay.
Go ahead. Let's hear your garbage on what you're going to say about the New York Rangers because you're a Ranger fan.
I'm glad you treat your radio partner.
Yes, I'm going to say it because I'm going to sit here and listen to a Ranger fan come out with Trouba he's a better all-around defensive player than Shannon Kirk. When proven facts, statistics would say that it's not true. You just said Trouba was better.
He's a better defensive player than Shannon
Not by much.
Actually, it's also quite funny because you come on the air and you mock me because I'm a Ranger fan and everything like that, but yet I don't say.
I mock you because Ranger fans talk like you.
I don't say anything. I don't disparage the Islanders or anything.
So I'm despairing the Rangers
if anything,
by
you're
saying
the clown
what
that's being the arrogant. That's being the arrogant. You know what? That's you're saying Ranger fans talk a lot.
They do.
But I'm sitting here not even saying a single word, and yet you're insulting me and the Rangers.
So now that's what you're going to call me the bad guy. Now you're going to tell me that I'm insulting the Rangers. I'm insulting you because you're a typical Ranger fan that's going to come out and tell me that Shannon Kirk isn't the same player as Trouba when actually they are.
I think I've said less than 5 words. I haven't even said anything to make a counter argument. You've said everything. You answered your own question, so I don't even think I even need to be here at this point for this conversation about the Rangers and Islanders. I mean, I don't know I was actually going to ask you the question that if Barzal doesn't sign with the Islanders, and I think
they're screwed. They're screwed.
No, but I'm going to ask you, do they trade him or do you take the chance of doing the Tavares thing again?
I'm insulting you because
you could speak for other Ranger
fans. I wouldn't
even
say I'm insulting you. Insulting you would call you a name.
No. You could speak for the other Ranger fans that you know, that you talk to. I'm not those Ranger fans.
I talk to Ranger fans all around the country.
I am not a guy that's going to sit here and be biased because that's not who I am. I legitimately thought the Islanders had a legit shot at beating Tampa in the conference.
That has nothing to do with the personality that you are.
If I have a personality, God only knows what I could say about you off the air,
Well, you're absolutely right.
Speak for yourself.
I do. I speak for myself. Sometimes I'm a little lost when I speak for myself.
I know you speak for yourself. You didn't even let me answer the question you asked me.
Well, I will say this. I'm very excited to see the offensive players that the Rangers are going to establish this year with Lafreniere.
Igor Shesterkin.
Sorokin and Shesterkin.
He's actually best friends with Sorokin, and he actually was the one convincing Sorokin to come to the United States sooner so they could start a rivalry together, and they want to be roommates together. They're best friends. I appreciate the competitiveness between the two of them.
I think it also has to do with that he wants to prove himself in the NHL, just like Shesterkin.
He did plenty in the KHL. He won a championship in the KHL, Shesterkin. He dominated the AHL. He came over here. He was an all-star for the AHL. Then he came up for his first 10 games. He went 10-2, and unfortunately, he got into a really bad car accident, and that just wrecked everything the rest of the season. Who knows what would have happened if not for that? That stopgapped everything.
I think it's going to be very interesting.
I'm excited for the rivalry.
For the New York Rangers and the New York Islanders. The problem with the New York Rangers moving forward is their defense, and I think a lot of Ranger fans are a little lost because they think some of the young players that they're going to be bringing in are going to fill in the problems that they have at defense.
It's all about coaching. If you have the right coach and you develop them the proper way, then that's going to be something that needs to happen. And I think Quinn is more of a starting builder. I don't think he's a finisher. I think a Mike Babcock or a Gerard Gallant, that's who you get. David Quinn is not that guy.
When we come back, ladies and gentlemen, because I just want to get out of hockey before it becomes a fist fight, we have Josh, who is a Ranger fan. I'm an Islander fan, but I have to attack some of the Ranger conversations because I listen to enough Ranger fans reach out to me on social media, which I don't even go on social media. I hear the Ranger fans telling me, what do you think about the Rangers now? They have no defense. prowess, and that's going to be a huge problem going into the playoffs.
Speak for those Ranger fans. Don't speak for me.
When we come back, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get into some football conversation and the New York Football Jets. Adam Gase doesn't believe he's going to get fired, or does he? Mr. Googly Eyes thinks that it's news to him when he hears that people are saying that he'll be out after Sunday's game. Well, I have something to say about that. And I also want to say who I think the Jets should sign in the offseason in free agency here on the Weekend Crunch. As you guys know, this is the Weekend Crunch. I'm your host, Errol Marks, my co-host, Josh Silverberg. On the board, Speedy Petey, the a.k.a. Tidy Whitey Man. Remember, you can listen to the show every single Saturday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. New York Eastern Time only on 103.9, the LI News Radio Network, brought to you by New York Sports Scene Magazine and the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. I love being in Long Island. I really do. I know a lot of people, they talk about Long Island, they think the Hamptons. They don't think about anything else but the Hamptons. Everybody forgets that the island is Nassau and Suffolk County. Suffolk County is the Hamptons.
It goes past it. Brooklyn, Queens.
That's fine, but the first thought of Long Island is everybody thinks the Hamptons. They don't even think about Nassau or Suffolk County because they don't even know what Nassau and Suffolk County is. They think the Hamptons. Rich people, beautiful cars, beautiful real estate, beautiful beaches. That's all they care about. I was out at the Riverhead Outlets over the week, and somebody from another country came up to me and asked me, tell us a little bit about what's so beautiful about Long Island. I said, have you ever gone and checked out the wineries? He's like, oh, there are wineries out here? I was like, you're in Riverhead right now. The wineries are all over here. So they were asking me some questions. They're like, oh, have you ever met any of the Kardashians? I said, so wait a second, because we're here on Long Island and the Hamptons or Dash, whatever their store is called, have you ever met any of the Kardashians? I did meet one of the Kardashians before, Khloe, but all in all, it's
She's
not
got a
because
lot of surgery done on her.
they all do, except maybe Kendall. But it's so funny when the first thing people think about when it comes to Long Island is the Kardashians, movie stars, and singers. Madonna, Billy Joel out in the Hamptons. I haven't seen Billy out in the Hamptons forever. So it's just so funny. These two guys, they were like, oh, I'm sure you met so many movie stars out here. I was like, honestly, I've probably met one or two of them because I've DJ'd their parties out in the Hamptons. So I have no idea what everybody thinks about Long Island and why they think, hey, you know what? It's where the Hamptons are. That's where the beautiful pools, beautiful bikinis, women, sexy, all this crap. It's absolutely ridiculous. Anyways, I really wanted to get into the New York Jets. And over the week, there were stories coming out from the New York Jets organization that they're probably going to part ways with Adam Gase. The other day, at Adam Gase's press conference on Thursday, when one of the guys asked him, have you heard that you are probably going to be fired after the Patriots game on Sunday, he said, that's news to me. Now, if I was a smart man, and I am pretty smart, I'm not stupid.
But you're not.
I'm not stupid, that's for sure. A smart man would know, after 2 years with the New York Jets, the Jets won their last few games of the season last year, played very well the last 6 games of the season, and then went into the season as bad as they were, went 0-14 before they won a game, and this guy was compared and contrasted as the quarterback guru who was going to change the Jets quarterback play that we would never imagine, because we remember Vinny Testaverde was probably the last great quarterback the Jets have seen, or Chad Pennington. And I don't even want to get into the Brett Favre rotation because the Brett Favre rotation ruined Eric Mancini and ruined the New York Jets. But nevertheless, you think of the Jets and you think of stupid coaches, okay? And there are a lot of dumb ones. And there were a lot of decent coaches that came from the New York Jets organization. When you think of Adam Gase, I think of the worst head coach in National Football League history. There's nobody you can compare Adam Gase to right now. Adam Gase will never get a head coach job in the NFL ever again. And for him,
Cam Cameron would like to hold the beer for a second.
Well, for him to sit back and think that the Jets aren't going to move on from him, maybe because he kisses Joe Douglas, as you know what, or maybe he was the one that got Joe Douglas hired. I have no idea what he is thinking in his little pea brain, but everybody knows it's bye-bye birdie, okay? This guy is flying down south or flying with the crows because the New York Jets organization is going to move along and move away from stupidity over there in New Jersey.
Florham Park.
Florham Park. I'm sorry.
Once again, geography here on the Weekend Crunch.
Oh, well, thank you.
We did a whole Long Island map, and now we're doing Florham Park.
Well, there you go. Anyways, going into the offseason and watching the game last night with Ohio State and Clemson, you can't pass up on Justin Fields. If the Jets decide that they think a quarterback is needed after what we've seen with Sam Darnold the last 3 seasons, can't stay healthy, and he's digressed with Adam Gase and Todd Bowles, Justin Fields proved yesterday that he is the predominant number 2 pick. He was fantastic. The touchdowns, the release, he got hit with the crown of a helmet early in the game, stayed in the game, showed his toughness. I mean, that's what you want to see a quarterback do. That's what you expect a quarterback to do. He put the team on his shoulders, and he went out there and he won the game for his team. Now, I know a lot of people, including me, I want that strong trench offensive line. We talk about the great play by Mekhi Becton and what we've seen the last couple of weeks against great pass rushers. And then you talk about this guy, Sewell, who this guy could be a generational type of talent. And now you're seeing Justin Fields knock off the mighty Tigers. And you kind of step back and you say as a Jet fan, because all you Jet fans wanted Zach Wilson and say, oh, did you watch BYU the other day against UCF? He was unbelievable. 400 yards, 5 touchdowns. Fantastic. And then you watch this kid, Justin Fields, that everybody took shots at, that he's nowhere comparable to a generational type of quarterback like Trevor Lawrence. You see what he did the night of the Sugar Bowl and absolutely outplayed the great Trevor Lawrence. As a Jet fan, Josh, you have to be excited going into the draft and knowing that you're going to be the team that could play spoiler for possibly the Jacksonville Jaguars if they make the wrong choice with Trevor Lawrence and the Jets get Justin Fields, or maybe trade out of that pick and get a slew of picks. So what are your thoughts with that?
If you're a New York Jet fan, you're watching this game, you're ecstatic because you're thinking to yourself, oh my goodness, this is the best case scenario that could have happened to us. Zach Wilson plays well for BYU, that's great. Then Justin Fields lights up against Clemson, even better. Now there's some people coming out on Twitter actually saying, what if Trevor Lawrence is tanking this game so he doesn't get drafted by the Jaguars? But then again, crazier things have happened. Maybe could that be something that Trevor Lawrence has thought about? Because he knows that his time in Clemson is over and he probably knew he wasn't going to be
Thank you, Stephen A. Smith and Max Kellerman kept saying that he doesn't want to be a Jet, that he should go back for his senior year. It's ridiculous.
I'd rather be a Jet than a Jaguar.
Absolutely.
Justin Fields gets all the credit in the world. He's played his tail off. He played phenomenal football. You have to also look at it this way. Is Trevor Lawrence really this bad? Or was this a way for him to say, maybe let's hope that Fields looks good and I don't get picked number 1 overall and I try to go to the Jets at number 2. There's no way the Jets are trading out of that pick. I actually think that this was the nail in the coffin for Sam Darnold because you did hear the reports coming out that Joe Douglas is going to be leading this coaching search with Christopher and Woody Johnson in the room, but Joe Douglas will lead the search, and they are going to ask the question to the new head coach. What are your thoughts on Sam Darnold? Every single head coach that comes into that room is going to basically say the same thing. Did you watch the college football semifinal? We're not passing up on one of these 2 quarterbacks. Did you see how Zach Wilson played this entire season? We're not passing up on him either. So the Jets had 3 viable options. This was a big issue for Sam Darnold going forward. And in my opinion, I think, God, if Justin Fields lights up against Alabama, the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to have a real dilemma. Because they don't want to screw this up.
If anybody listens to our network, I said if Justin Fields knocks off and kills Clemson and knocks off the great Trevor Lawrence, I said that if he goes into the national title game and knocks off Alabama and wins the national title, then you have a dilemma because you look at Jacksonville, they don't want to screw it up. They have an opportunity to get a quote-unquote generational type of quarterback or get the next Deshaun Watson, a guy has been successful.
You could do what happened with the Colts and the Chargers. The Colts drafted Peyton Manning, and the Chargers drafted Ryan Leaf. And that's a scenario that if you're the Jaguars, you want to say, God, please don't let that happen to us. And don't tell me that Jaguar fans aren't going to keep tabs on what the Jets are doing and what the Jet fans will keep tabs on the Jaguars are doing. Like
Why
I said,
are the Jets going to keep tabs what Jacksonville is
I'm
going to be
saying the
doing?
fans, because they're
Why
gonna wanna
would they
see
be
how
doing
Lawrence
that?
and how Fields is.
They're
They're gonna
drafting
wanna see-
two, and Jacksonville has control of the board. They could do whatever they
Let me
want.
ask you this question.
Justin
Okay,
Fields,
hold
Sewell, Trevor
hold on.
Lawrence, they could get whoever they want.
Forget Sewell. Get Sewell out of your head. Sewell's not happening with this team. My question to you is it out of the realm of possibility that Trevor Lawrence tanked this game so he could maybe drop to the Jets at 2?
No, everybody looks at these dilemmas. They are not true dilemmas. It's not happening. Trevor Lawrence didn't try to lose this game. He's a championship quarterback. He played his ass off. He lost. That's just it. He got outplayed by the quarterback that played harder than he did that night. He got outshined by a quarterback that should be respected. He could have won last year against the Clemson Tigers last year. He outplayed Trevor Lawrence in that game.
You know me being a Wisconsin fan and a Big Ten football fan. The Big Ten Conference, this is a huge coup for them. Because what this shows is everybody basically said, oh, it's such a joke. Ohio State's getting into this tournament with 6 wins. It's ridiculous. Thank God the committee got it right and put them in this tournament. Because what the Big Ten showed last night was that conference still has defensive ballers. The Big Ten is no big time for defense. They're not the Big 12 with this air raid offense or any of this nonsense. It's defense. Defense wins championships. You say it every time, right, Errol?
Yeah, defense wins championships. Yeah.
And that's what Ohio State, thank God the committee put them in this playoff.
Well, I will say this about the New York Giants. This is a big game for the Giants and Joe Judge. He has a chance if they knock off the Cowboys and somehow the Eagles knock off the Washington football team, they can squeak into the playoffs. And if the Giants squeak into the playoffs, I've been saying this over and over again, especially the way the defense is played. Even the last couple of weeks, it hasn't looked as good when they played against Seattle in that crunch where they won 3 games in a row and they were playing great football. I think that what we have seen so far of the New York Giants is they can be consistent and they have a good running game. Gallman has looked good this year. The offensive line has looked good in the second half after firing the offensive coordinator. I like what I see with the New York Giants. The question is, with the bad division that it is, there's so many moving pieces that have to happen for the Giants to squeak in. And as far as the Cowboys are concerned, if the Cowboys knock off the Giants and the Washington football team loses, they get into the playoffs. Yep. It's crazy. It all leans up to what Philadelphia does against the Washington football team. When we come back, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to make our picks of the final week. It is tied with me and Josh for the last couple of weeks. We've been doing it. I know he has the smile and smirk on his face, enjoy with his jokes and all that other stuff. But we still have the playoffs. And to me, Josh doesn't know his ass from his tailbone. But when we come back, we will get into our picks, and we're going to talk about Week 16 and what the New York Football Jets did against the horrific Baker Mayfield and the Browns here on the Weekend Crunch. As you guys know, this is the Weekend Crunch. I'm your host, the Big E, the Easy Boy, Little J, Josh Silverberg. We're here at the wonderful studios of the Worldwide Sports Radio Network, only on 103.9, the LI News Radio Network, brought to you by New York Sports Team Magazine and the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Download our app. I'm telling you, it is a great app. You like articles, you like sports, you like anything. Live coverage of our network every single week on Apple, WWSRN, or Android, Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Yes, I love it. I love a little Drake. I love to shake my booty. I don't like talking family business, okay? I don't. But I had a horrendous New Year's Eve. I'm not going to point fingers at any of my family members, but one person in my family invited me over for a nice little hangout because she was going to have some sausage and peppers, some of those little, what do they call those? Hot dog wieners. What do they call them?
Pigs in a blanket.
Yeah, pigs in a blanket, whatever the heck they have. And, pineapple, which is my favorite, some cake. I wanted to enjoy my New Year's.
Wait a second. How do you go from pigs in a blanket from pineapple to cake?
I wanted to cheat. I was going to cheat on the right side of the ball. Anyways, it turned out to be a fight before the ball dropped over there in the empty New York City. But what you're saying is the host dropped the ball. Something dropped the ball. But Obviously, I left not watching the ball. So, but all in all, hopefully that family member will understand that if you just keep your mouth quiet in front of other people and keep your 2 cents out of a conversation, it would save an argument and save problems moving forward. But obviously, a lot of people like drama in the world. So there was a lot of drama at the Marks family house on New Year's Eve. So it wasn't a great New Year's Eve start of 2021. So that was my problem. But all in all, we're here. We're flying and profiling, flying. Not profiling, but flying with profile. You know what I'm saying? Do you like that? Does it make any sense to you? It probably doesn't.
You mean the analogy of Ric Flair is what you're trying to accomplish?
No.
By the way, you could catch myself.
No, not styling. Not styling. Flying and profiling.
Every Saturday at 12 p.m. on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network with our wrestling show Off the Mat. And also you can check out some articles that I've written recently. One about the sad passing of Mr. Brody Lee John Huber himself, which they did a great tribute on AEW.
You were crying the other day. I felt bad for you. I was
actually.
I felt bad for you.
He's one of my favorites.
It looked like your uncle passed away.
It was hard, dude. He was one of my favorites. Seriously, he was one of my favorite wrestlers. And to see that and to see them honor him with his son coming out and, doing everything was a beautiful tribute they did. The Khans may not know how to run a football team, but they know how to throw a nice tribute to something like that. So kudos to them for sure. Before
we get into Week 16, I want to know, I was watching WFAN on Friday, and they had a special show. I'm not going to take shots at WFAN, but Chernoff decided to bring in Chris Russo, son, Colin, and Craig Carton's son, I forget his son's name, and they did a show for an hour on WFAN speaking about Sam Darnold and Jones. It's so interesting the way WFAN is starting to move forward with some of their shows, and I'm kind of thrown off with it because they're the godfather of sports radio. They brought sports radio to what it is today, and then now you're seeing them decide to bring in kids to do a show on the network, possibly to try to bring in more fans or bring in a different outlook to what sports radio is. Hopefully it works. Do I agree with it? Kids that have no radio background, it doesn't make any sense. But it was very intriguing, very interesting that Chernoff and the WFAN and Entercom decided to try that out. So hopefully it works out, but it was interesting. Interesting arguments that these two kids had and what their thoughts with Sam Darnold. They weren't bad. I have to say, Colin was very, very good. Chris Russo's son. And Craig Carton's son was not that bad either. But I'm very interested to see what's going to happen moving forward, WFAN, in the new year. With Craig Carton, with Evan Roberts now, Gio with, obviously, Boomer Esiason, and the Midday Show with the great and utter stupid Maggie Gray, and the one and only my friend, Mark Malusis. So I'm not taking shots at Maggie. Nobody likes Maggie Gray. Do you like Maggie Gray as a radio show host?
No,
come on.
I think she's one of the worst radio personalities in the planet. It's terrible.
And nobody, not even JJ, wanted to work with her. So there you go.
What does that tell you?
It doesn't tell you much.
He wanted to do his overnights instead of working the middays.
Maybe you should just decide to wear boxer briefs and then boxers.
Learn a lesson from Speedy.
No, well, he wears tighty whities.
He doesn't wear anything.
Well, certain days, certain dilemmas that he decides to wear his pajamas. That's it.
Does he wear deodorant?
I have no idea. You have to ask him that.
Do you wear deodorant?
Yes.
All right, let's get into some Week 16 conversation. So, Josh, what game stood out to you last week that you were surprised that happened? Besides the Browns and the Jets, which I was very impressed what the Jets did last week against a Browns team. Yes, practically all their wide receivers were sick with COVID-19. Their two starting linebackers and their two offensive linemen, their guard and the left tackle were COVID-19 out. But this team was still a talented team with a great running back core with Chubb and Hunt and some of the tight ends that they have, Hooper. And so I was very, very surprised that the Jets pulled out that win against the lonely and utter stupid Baker Mayfield. But what game stood out to you last week?
Well, really quickly, I think Kevin Stefanski called one of the absolute worst games in football history. You cannot let a guy throw the ball like Baker did. I think it was, 53 times or something he threw the football? When they have the number one rushing attack in the league and no wide receivers to throw the football to. That's a terrible job of Stefanski to call the plays like that. In regards to that, I think it was kind of weird to see. Not really a surprise. We both picked Buffalo to beat New England. I think it was just the way they did it. And to just see the lonely New England Patriots just go down like that. The end of an era has happened. The Buffalo Bills win the division. And to just see Belichick lost like that is insane to see. And the Green Bay Packers also stood out to be big time. They showed up against the Tennessee Titans. They really did.
How about Pittsburgh? How about Pittsburgh coming back from Indianapolis?
Indy was a good one. But the thing was, you still had that kind of thought in your head. Okay, I think Pittsburgh's this is all or nothing for them. They have to figure this out by the second half. Otherwise, their season's going to turn into a downward spiral at this point. And they did. So I think they got their footing correctly. We've mentioned it many times. Their injuries, Devin Bush, Bud Dupree, so many guys are out for them right now, so it's tough.
I was very surprised that Washington got knocked off by Carolina. Teddy Bridgewater, you say whatever you want, and I do believe Carolina is going to be looking for a young quarterback in this draft, maybe a Zach Wilson at number 5. I think they're drafting at 4 or 5, so...
That's it. Wilson's officially down from the New York Jets.
I never said he was going to the Jets. You and Eric Martini said that.
The Zach Wilson trade is over.
That's your thought. You're the lover of Zach Wilson. I never thought highly of Zach Wilson going into the draft.
Let me tell you something. It all depends on the combine, too, man. You know how the combines are. I hate the combine, but it all depends on how they are.
If it's all about the combine, I'll tell you this right now. Justin Fields will look better than Trevor Lawrence, and he'll look better than Zach Wilson. He's a more accurate thrower. So he's going to look a lot better than both of them.
Well, he proved that Friday night, so.
Yep. How about the Cowboys winning that game? An important game against the Philadelphia Eagles. And Jalen Hurts, who's been unbelievable for the last couple of games. Carson Wentz loses his starting job. Nobody knows where Carson Wentz will be next year. Will it be with Philadelphia with the contract that they extended on him? Or do they trade him? Who wants that contract?
If I hear the New York Jets name connected to Carson Wentz one more time, I'm going to snap. Why would the New York Jets take on that contract?
If they like the Sewell kid and they think Carson Wentz is that guy.
Would you stop with that? Enough. They're taking Lawrence or Fields, who's ever there. Would you stop?
Well, that's what you think.
You're acting like a fool.
All right, Mr. Ranger fan. Hold on. Pull up your panties. Figure out what you're wearing.
My panties are up just fine. Thank you very
Yeah, well,
much.
if you want to go to Victoria's Secrets, I'll take you there for the holidays, okay? Because the panties that you have on probably are pulling up your bloomers.
Pink is my favorite color, just letting you know, light pink.
Well, good for you. I'm not looking at your underwears, by the way. Anyways,
I'm just answering your question.
The loss of Jared Goff and the L.A. Rams could be costly. Losing against the Jets 2 weeks ago is costly, and the Browns losing this past week in Week 16 is costly. Both teams could be eliminated from the playoffs Week 17 on Sunday. Who would have thought that the Jets played spoiler with the Rams and the Browns? What an outlook to a crazy offseason that both teams would be looking at. That the team that knocked both those teams off, possibly Super Bowl run, was the New York Football Adam Gase Jets. Nobody would have thought that. And obviously the Buffalo Bills were incredible. This is an incredible season for them, and I have to give Cynthia Freeland, who we had on the show in the middle of the offseason, saying that she loves the Buffalo Bills. She loved the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen this year. All right, Speedy, the picks of the week. I'm demolishing them this week.
Yeah, okay. Aren't we tied now, Speedy?
Yeah, you guys are tied.
I know.
So plenty of time, though. Week 17.
Look, Arrow's speaking his language. The walrus.
Well, that's a seal, you idiot.
They're all the same thing to me. They're all manatees.
Yeah, well, there you go. That's a teacher who has a master's degree, by the way.
We begin locally. The Dallas Cowboys and the New York Giants. Winner needs a Washington loss, and they win the NFC East.
Go ahead.
This is a tough one because I have not liked how Daniel Jones has played the last couple of weeks. It's been frightening to watch him play. He's definitely not healthy. We know this. And Giant fans are now starting to come off the bandwagon with him because he was hot. Now he's not. And it's a little scary. I'll go with the Giants in this one. I don't feel confident about it. I have no confidence in this pick, but I'll go with the Giants.
I'm going with the Cowboys. Andy Dalton.
Them Cowboys.
I like what I've seen the last couple of weeks with CeeDee Lamb. He looks explosive, looks fun to watch. The wide receiving core that they have. Amari Cooper looked good last week. Andy Dalton looked good, and they're going to be fighting for this playoff spot. And
you just said Andy Dalton didn't look good.
He did. He looked really good. Almost threw 400 yards. What are you laughing about? 400 yards, 4 touchdowns is not too shabby.
Philadelphia Eagles.
Oh, it's Philadelphia Eagles that won 2 games in a row. I don't know about you, but they looked really good with Jalen Hurts.
So did the New York Jets.
Oh, shut up.
They
They didn't just beat the Eagles. They demolished the Eagles.
The New York Jets won 2 games in a row too. We're gonna crown them.
What do you now? You're gonna speak about my pick? Well, I'm telling you, the Cowboys win the game, and that's a buy on that one, and they win by maybe even double digits.
This isn't buy or sell, so you don't have to buy anything.
Well, I'm
yet.
buying it now, baby. Buying it now. Cowboys win.
Steelers at the Browns.
Oh, this is Pittsburgh. Oh, I think Pittsburgh has a chance. I mean, look, I don't trust Baker in a big game anyway. I don't know is everybody even coming back this week for Cleveland? Have they even said?
The receivers are coming back, but there's still 2 other players out.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And I think Pittsburgh got their footing right. And then look, Big Ben in a big game. I go with the Steelers in this one. You're going to put all your eggs in Cleveland? You're asking for problems.
I've got news for you. You don't even know if Big Ben is going to start in this game. That's one. Number 2.
He's not. Mason Rudolph is starting.
Mason Rudolph is playing. You're right.
But I'm going with the Browns in this game. I think the Browns are the better team. I do think Baker Mayfield will pull something out of his his tuchus, and find a way to do what he does. What are you time on?
I want to retract.
No, you
that.
can't. You can't. Sorry, you can't. You made your pick. You cannot.
No.
You cannot change your mind.
Follow
through with it, buddy.
Hold on. Let Speedy decide.
You can have the pick.
Ha! Suck. You suck.
Who the hell is
That's
Speedy?
you.
Who the hell is Speedy? Who the hell is he? As far as I'm concerned, that is a cross X for him. So you cannot change it. No. And you stick with Pittsburgh.
You know what? If the Steelers win, I'll laugh at all.
Good. I got the Browns in that game. I've got Myles Garrett crushing. Yes, he's not going to use his helmet this time either. So.
All right, another big game in the AFC. The Buffalo Bills at the Miami Dolphins.
Give me the Dolphins. The Bills aren't good. I can't imagine Buffalo's going to start anybody. They already have, I believe, the 2 seed is locked up.
No, if they win, they lock it up because the Steelers can still get it if they win.
That's interesting that the Steelers are not starting Roethlisberger because they could still get the 2 seed. But I guess it really doesn't matter because there's no home.
No bye, yeah.
There's no bye, so I guess it doesn't matter. I also go with the Dolphins. I don't think Buffalo's going to start anybody. If they do, they're morons for doing that then. Because, I mean, you want to keep everybody as fresh as possible.
I'm going to go with Miami in that game, too. I was going to pick Miami in that game because I think Fitzpatrick will. I don't know if he's definitely going to start, but you're going to see Fitzpatrick in the game.
He's out. He has COVID.
Oh, he's got COVID. I didn't know that, so.
See, I actually give you the proper information while you're making your pick.
I'm still picking the Dolphins. I'm not going to change my pick. I got the Dolphins in the game. So I'm sticking with them.
All right, 2 big ones in the NFC. We'll start with the Green Bay Packers at the Chicago Bears.
Oh, the Packers are going to destroy.
I don't know.
If the Packers win, they clinch the 1 seed, and the best thing that they could possibly do is knock off their division rivals out of the playoffs. That's the greatest thing that could happen if you're a Packer fan. You know how the Packers are against Mitchell Trubisky. They always beat him. It doesn't even matter. Give me the Green Bay Packers, who I think are my NFC representatives for the Super Bowl right now.
I can't pick against the Green Bay Packers because I picked against them last week and I lost. So I'm going to go with Green Bay, even though I think Chicago is going to be close in this game. And Mitch, the tush, could find a way to win this game. And if he does, guess what? The Chicago Bears somehow squeak into the playoffs and could cause a lot of havoc in the playoffs with that defense.
So it says Matt Nagy his job.
It could. I don't know if it will.
Play calling duties.
Yeah,
if they get to the playoffs, of course it does. You can't fire him.
I'd still fire him. I just don't think it
too,
fits.
but they won't.
We'll see. But I've got the good old Green Bay winning the game.
Last one, Cardinals at Rams.
Ooh, good game.
I'm going to go Arizona because the LA Rams have no idea who they're playing at quarterback. Jared Goff's out. He's hurt, and therefore I give the automatic win to the Arizona Cardinals.
Well, they might have Blake Bortles. No, the good old Blake Bortles.
Are you serious?
Yeah, Bortles might play. Mr. Bortles. I would agree with you. Arizona, you don't know.
So you just did all that just to pick the same pick as me.
But I was going to pick Arizona. Why am I going to pick?
In the words of Errol Marks, how wonderful.
I'm going with the non-Blakeless Bortles. I'm going with the Arizona Cardinals. Kyler Murray, who's one of my favorite players in the NFL. He's going to find a way to win the game. They need this game. Rams get eliminated from the playoffs, unbelievably, because of the New York Jets, the hottest team in football until they played the Jets and get eliminated the last 2 weeks because they laid up a dud against the New York Football Jets, ladies and gentlemen.
How wonderful.
Yeah, I am wonderful, I am very wonderful.
Speak for yourself, but anyway.
After Debate Wars, and I demolish you in that, we'll go on to the next. Anyways, when we come back, Speedy, what do we got?
Debate Wars.
Oh, there it is. Here on the Weekend Crunch. I'm doing the wave, ladies and gentlemen. I'm doing the wave. LL Cool J. Woo! Well, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. The Weekend Crunch. I'm your host, Errol Marks. My co-host, Josh Little J. Silverberg. Only on 103.9, the LI News Radio Network. Brought to you by New York Sports Team Magazine and the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Definitely listen to the show every single Saturday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. New York Eastern Time. We're dancing and flying and bored as hell because we see Josh over there, Little J, thinking about what he's going to eat after the show. Hopefully, it's some chocolate cake, because we all like chocolate cake. Who doesn't like chocolate cake? I do. I like my chocolate cake. I ate a lot of chocolate cake on Christmas. I gained a couple of pounds the last couple of weeks. I still fit in a pants. I think my waist is still about 34s, but I will say this. When the holidays come around, I do look at all the brownies, all the different cakes, and all the wonderful desserts that I can eat, and just my eyes just get bigger and bigger and bigger. Just like Justin Fields against the Clemson Tigers the other night. His eyes got bigger, and he completely pounced. I pounced on a wonderful bunch of cake on New Year's Eve and Christmas. So what do you say about that, buddy?
What I say is that always the best thing when you see on the dessert menu, always the brownie sundaes. You go with the brownies, with the vanilla
Miller's
ice
Ale
cream,
House,
the hot fudge, and the whipped cream, and it's wonderful.
Applebee's. You ever have the
Oh yes, the whatever it's called, the mudslide thing or whatever it is.
Mudslide thing? I've never heard it as a mudslide. I mean, if you're thinking about drinking, I've heard of a mudslide drink.
No, they have a dessert too.
Oh, called a mudslide? I've never heard of it.
Yes.
Unless I'm hanging out with some pigs and rolling around in some mud. I'm all about not eating a mudslide, okay?
No, that's only going over to your house and rolling in the pig pen.
Oh, so that's what it is. It's rolling at my house and being a pig. You make me feel so lame sometimes. I want you to feel what I feel when you talk. I'm just letting you know that. Anyways.
One thing to say to you, truth hurts.
Truth hurts. There's no truth to anything that you say, buddy. Even with the Rangers. I'll go back to the second segment if I have to and attack you.
Oh, God.
Anyway, Speedy, what do we got here?
Debate war.
All right, we start this week in the NBA. Who is a better point guard in his time, Kevin Johnson or Deron Williams?
When Deron Williams was playing, though, listen, when he was with Utah, was really dominant. You could make the case he was the second best point guard in the league right behind Chris Paul. So, I mean, when you look at it that way, I'll go with Deron Williams in my eyes.
Oh, Kevin Johnson. It's not even close. You're too young to see the great Kevin Johnson in Phoenix.
I'm too young for him.
Yeah, Kevin Johnson. Not even a question. Kevin Johnson was a great leader. He's the senator. After he retired, he became a politician. He's done so many wonders for the Phoenix Suns and what Phoenix did over the last couple of years. Even the thoughts of some of the players like Devin Booker. Devin Booker has looked up to guys like Kevin Johnson. He's been a part of the organization ever since he retired from the league. Kevin Johnson was one of the best point guards in the league for like 5-6 years with John Stockton and even some of the great point guards we talk about over the last couple of decades. So it is Kevin Johnson, not even a question. Deron Williams? Give me a break.
To baseball now. Better pitcher at his peak, Zach Greinke or Felix Hernandez?
I'll go with King Felix. To me, King Felix, he was dominant for years upon years. And he also came up at a much younger age. And the thing was, when he first came up, he was consistent. Greinke, remember, he had the anxiety issues when he first got to the major, so he struggled. And he got better once he left the game for a little bit, came back with the Royals, went to the Dodgers, became a starting pitcher. But King Felix, man, all pro when it came to him for so many years with the Seattle Mariners.
King Felix? Is that what you're going to sell to everybody? King Felix? I'm going to say not King Felix. I'm going to go with Zach Greinke. Everything that
you only have one or two choices. I'm not going to go with King Felix. I'm going to go with Zach Greinke.
Yeah, well, I'm going to go with the better. I'm going to go with the better pitcher. Smart ass. I'm going with the great Zach Greinke. Zach Greinke has done it longer, and what he did with the Dodgers this last season with the Dodgers was absolutely incredible. He should have won the Cy Young that year. He got robbed. He was the best pitcher in baseball. For like 4 years, he was the best pitcher in baseball. And not even a question.
2015.
Not even a question he was the best pitcher in baseball. And he was the more dominant pitcher in the longer longevity of time. So I'm going with Zach Greinke.
Better center, Brian Trottier or Mike Modano?
Wow, that's a good one.
No, it's not. It's easy.
No, I'm going to say Mike Modano.
Well, good for you because I'm going to say the same thing.
I know you are. I was a big Mike Modano guy growing up watching.
You're the best American-born hockey player of all time.
That's what I'm saying. That's why it was an easy one. That's why I said Mike. There you go. Just finish your argument for me then.
He was the greatest offensive player we've ever seen for the United States.
I was literally going to say everything you're about to say, and you just cut me off. But go.
Well, I'm going to cut you off because you didn't give enough information. I'm giving you the information. He has the most goals.
Brian Trottier was very good, though.
Yeah, he was. He was a great Islander. Absolutely was a part of the Islanders championship teams, the 4 titles. He was a big part of him, especially the defensive side of the puck. Mike Modano was the better all-around player. Mike Modano is the best American-born offensive player. He has the most goals out of any American-born player and the most points out of every American-born player. So it's Mike Modano. It's not even a question. There's no argument to that.
Is he going to end being the greatest American hockey player of all time, though?
No.
It's going to be Patrick Kane.
It's going to be a lot of different people because I think they're going to be better players than Kane in the future.
Well, right now I think Kane is going to be better than Modano was.
He could be, yeah.
All right. Better wide receiver, Chad Johnson or Donald Driver?
Donald Driver's my guy.
Oh, God.
Oh, my God. Are you kidding me? Donald Driver. Ooh, gobble, gobble.
You gobbling?
Gobble, gobble.
Well, go eat your turkey somewhere else.
Let me tell you something. Donald Driver.
It's Chad Ochocinco.
No, it's not.
It's Chad Ochocinco. Ocho.
Would you shut up, man?
It's Chad Ochocinco. It's not even a question.
No,
no argument.
it's not.
Donald Driver is an old man, overrated, who played with 2 great quarterbacks. The answer is Chatty Ocho. He played with Carlson Palmer. Oh, and Kitna. He also played with Kitna. So, he did. He played with Kitna.
Bring up that name. How dare you
Why?
bring up that name on this show?
He did. He played with Kitna. So I'm definitely going to go with Chad Ochocinco.
John Driver for me.
Ocho is the Beto.
That doesn't even make sense.
It makes a lot of sense.
You wouldn't even, that
you know what?
This word.
You know what? I'm not going to say it on live radio, but I will attack you.
That's fine.
Okay.
I'm ready.
Better power forward, Kevin Garnett or Charles Barkley?
Charles Barkley was phenomenal when he played, though. He is one of the greatest to ever win a championship. Listen, as great as Kevin Garnett was, Charles Barkley was an all-around talent. Offensively, defensively. Plus, come on, as an analysis, he's one of the best.
What are you trying to persuade me to go with Charles Barkley? Come on.
I'm not. It is Charles Barkley.
I love Charles, but
Chuck, man, I love Chuck.
I like Garney, and I'll tell you why. Garney, when he went out there, he started with everybody. He had a big mouth. He was the enforcer. He was the troublemaker. He was the best player on the court. He played with Paul Pierce and Ray Allen. He was the best player on the court whenever he played it with those superstar players. And he also played with Stephon Marbury. So I'm going with the great Kevin Garnett, even though I love Charles Barkley. I think the all-around defensive player and even his game, he learned how to shoot that 17, 18-foot jumper later in his career. So I'm going with Mr. Garnett.
Better shortstop in his time, Barry Larkin or Ozzie Smith?
Oh, that's a good one. I'll go with Barry Larkin because I did think Barry Larkin was a little... Listen, Ozzie Smith, you can make the case as the greatest defensive shortstop of all time, but Barry Larkin was a 5-tool player. Barry Larkin had better offensive numbers than Ozzie Smith did. Defensively, he was one of the best. Barry Larkin is underrated.
Follow the yellow brick road. Follow the yellow brick road. It's the Wizard of Oz, ladies and gentlemen. It's Ozzie Smith, the best all-around defensive shortstop of all time.
That's actually not true.
He was. He was absolutely.
No, he wasn't.
The Wizard of Oz. He was dude. You never even watched him play. You weren't old enough to see him.
You tell me he was better defensively, and look,
absolutely better than Barry Larkin.
But he was nowhere near the hitter that Barry Larkin was.
He was a pretty decent hitter. He was close to a 300 hitter. Ozzie Smith.
Let me ask you this. I don't want to put this name out there because he's been in the news for the bad publicity lately. But is he better defensively than Omar Vizquel?
Yes.
My God,
yes, I do.
The greatest defensive shortstop ever.
Really? And what was Ozzie Smith? Why did they call him the Wizard of Oz? Because he pulled balls out of his ass. That's what he did. It's the Wizard of Oz. Ozzie Smith.
Oh, I had an Ozzie Smith shirt, actually.
Well, good for you. I never had one, but I still take Ozzie Smith.
That sucks for you.
All right, one more. Better Rams running back, Eric Dickerson or Marshall Faulk?
Ooh, this is a good one.
That's a really good one. I'm going to give it to Marshall Faulk because...
Of course you would.
Faulk is, first off... No, Dickerson was an unbelievable talent. But the thing about Faulk was he was consistently good on the Rams and on the Colts. which makes it even better. They're both Hall of Fame running backs. They're both two of the greatest of all time. It's tight, but I'll go Marshall Faulk.
I'm going with Mr. Dickerson. And I'll tell you why. First of all, wonderful last name that he has, by the way. That's a sellable last name. But he has the record, most yards in a season. Nobody's broken it. Nobody will break it. There was one player that recently almost did. That was Peterson, Adrian Peterson, but he couldn't get over the hump. He couldn't get that last 200 yards in the last game of the season, which is very hard to do in a game. So I'm going to go with Eric Dickerson. And Eric Dickerson was such a nice person. Still a nice person. Very good Samaritan for the NFL. I'm not saying Marshall Faulk isn't, but Marshall Faulk has had his own trouble. So I'm going to go with Mr. Eric Dickerson. So there you go. Anyways. Oh, man.
God.
What are you oh-godding for? I'm telling you I'm going with Dickerson. So, and he has a wonderful last name. So, anyways, when we come back, ladies and gentlemen, Speedy, what do we got?
The Crunch Triller.
Ooh, the Triller. Or can we call it the Crunch Triller? I like the Triller. The Thriller and Manila. We'll call it the Crunch Triller. Here on the Weekend Crunch. As you guys know, I am the best, simply the best. That's me, the greatest of all time, Big E to the little J. Whatever. This is the Weekend Crunch. We are live every single Saturday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. New York Eastern Time on 103.9 LI News Radio Network. Brought to you by New York Sportsy Magazine and the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Guys, download our app on Android, Worldwide Sports Radio Network, or Apple, WWSRN. It's been a great show. Really, really. Back and forth banter with me and Little J, Joshua Silverberg. He definitely has a personality. I actually enjoy having him on and being my partner. He's a little out there. He definitely is. There are things that you wonder with Josh Silverberg. I think sometimes if he's a bedwetter, I do think that sometimes he does. Nevertheless, that's what we do here at the Worldwide Sports Radio Network and here at 103.9. By the way, guys, I will say this. What we do here is comedy. We like to talk a little sports. Well, we talk all sports, but we like to have some fun on the show. I hope we don't give anybody or make anybody have any offense to what we say on the show. Just normal guys talking sports and really entertaining the people out there all over the country. But what do we have here at this segment, Speedy? What are we calling this segment now? We kind of flip-flopping it and giving it a new name.
We are now calling it the Crunch Triller.
All right, so we're going to call this the Crunch Triller. I love getting into this, and I love going back and forth with this, and I think you guys are going to love this week. So here we go. A long, long time ago, there lived a googly-eyed man, or a boy. He lived with his grandfather. His name was Adam. They changed his name to Gase because his father hunted chickens or geese in the woods. His father played football in high school and college. Adam was afraid of being hit. So one day, he told his father, "I don't want to play football anymore, Dad. I don't want to get hit. I want to be a coach. I want to run my team. I want to win championships. And one day, coach a team that flies high like the Jets." But nobody believed in him. There was only one man, a guy from Bama, from the Crimson Tide, a man named Saban, who gave him his chance as an offensive man, working in the tape room, moving up to the offensive coordinator position, and told him one day, you will be a quarterback guru in the NFL. He had his first chance as an offensive coordinator in the NFL under a guy named Fox. Foxy baby. Broncos helping the old Peyton Manning go to the Super Bowl and get smashed out by Seattle. And then finally, gets an opportunity with the Bears. Why? Why teams with the names coaches named Fox or teams named Bears, Lions, and Tigers? But no, Gase is not a goose. Well, he's a googly-eyed man, a Cocker Spaniel, or something. He got a job as a head coach with Miami. A guy named Tanny just couldn't reach up to the hill. Injuries just smoked. And his time with the ownership over there with the Dolphins, yes, another fish or animal or mammal. He decides to leave the good old Dolphins and fly high with a team that couldn't win, never won, with a guy with the last name of Bowles. It wasn't Orion. It wasn't anybody but a Gase that take a job that he would just fail. Taking on a quarterback named Sam. Sucking for Sam, and now trying to figure out if we should save Sam or should we save Gase. Gase, the loser. Gase, the quarterback guru. Gase, the offensive coordinator. Gase, I don't know where we are. I don't know where he is, but he will never, ever coach again in the NFL. Maybe Billy, yes, the Belichick man, will give him a chance because he's Saban's man. But all in all, I don't want to see Gase coach another NFL team with his googly eyes. I don't want to see him speak at press conferences telling you that he's a quarterback man and then he failed to help quarterbacks become gurus. It's not Peyton Manning reaching out to ownership. It's not people saying Gase is a champion. It's the New York Jets finally figuring out that Gase is a loser. That was a good one. I like that one. I thrilled that one. That was the thriller and Manila of Adam Gase. Farewell, Adam. Farewell. I hope you get a job just far, far away from New York. And if it is an NFL job, please do your research before you think he's a quarterback guru. Anyways, Josh, what did you think about that one, baby?
I loved it, but I tell you what, don't take anything away. The New England Patriots could easily hire him as their next QB coach, so don't influence them to not do that. Okay?
Well,
so hopefully they don't hear that.
That would be very funny and something to laugh about moving forward as a New York Jet fan. Anyways, when we come back, Speedy, what do we got?
Crunch time.
You know, before we go to break, when he says crunch time, you know what reminds me of Steve Urkel, remember?
Did I do that?
Oh, when we come back, crunch time here on the Weekend Crunch. Oh, I see Josh bobbing his head for a little bit. Speedy loves this music. He likes the 80s music. I do too. As you guys know, this is the Weekend Crunch. Josh is singing and he's dancing. As you guys know, this is the Weekend Crunch. I'm your host, Errol Marks, my co-host, Little J, Joshua Silverberg. Remember, you can listen to our show every single Saturday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. New York Eastern Time only on 103.9, the LI News Radio Network. Brought to you by New York Sports Scene Magazine and the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Guys, download our app on Apple, WWSRN, or Android, Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Wow. It's been a great show, and I want to give a very big congratulations to the Ohio State Buckeyes. Fantastic, fantastic win over the great Clemson Tigers. Everybody thought was going to the national title game and was going to win the national title this year. Well, it just didn't happen. It was an unbelievable run by the Ohio State Buckeye. I almost call them the Buckeyes.
Maybe Adam Gase should coach them.
I don't know. Hopefully not. But they've been unbelievable, and they were unbelievable. Justin Fields, 6 touchdowns, most touchdowns by an Ohio State quarterback in a ball game. Fantastic 6 touchdowns. He played unbelievable, possibly broken ribs, and really raised his draft stock right up there. If anybody's going to argue those points that Justin Fields can't be the number one pick in this coming draft, well, he proved it Friday night against the Clemson Tigers. Anyways, we do this every single week, but before we do that, Josh, how are you doing with the holidays? Did you have fun with the holidays? Did you enjoy it?
I did. I had a great time. I pretty much, very low key. We went this year because obviously nothing is open or anything like that. So what we did was we ordered Chinese food. It was a spur of the moment kind of trip to Walmart. My wife she said, let's go get some board games. So we went up playing Scrabble.
Just you and her?
Uno. Just you and I. Yeah, just her and I. We went.
How wonderful.
We played Uno, Scrabble, The Game of Life, and we watched my favorite movie of all time, Scarface, right before the ball dropped, and she fell asleep at 11 o'clock.
Oh, that sounds that sounds like you and your wife. What a lovely story.
Low key. But I did manage to text you too Thursday night, Friday morning. A Happy New Year. I didn't make sure to forget about you guys and everything like that. So I didn't make sure to forget about you two for sure. And let's hope we have a much better year than we've had this past year. Because this past year, let's face it, this past year sucked. Okay? It was garbage. So to a better, hopefully.
As garbagey as Speedy's underwear, as you know. Speedy!
That's low garbage.
Well, that's a lot of garbage. Anyways, Speedy, what do we have right now?
Crunch time.
It's time for Crunch Time.
All right, we start this week in the NFL. Buy or sell. Mason Rudolph will have more passing yards than Baker Mayfield in their matchup this week.
Well, I'm gonna buy that one because I picked Steelers to win the game. So I'm gonna buy that one. Look, Myles Garrett's gonna do everything he can to try to hurt the guy badly. You know what happened last year and everything like that. But I still think that Mason Rudolph is gonna get the win for them. I still think the Steelers will continue on, and the Cleveland Browns are gonna brown it up the way they possibly know how, which is screwing up everything. So I'm gonna buy that one on Rudolph getting more than Baker.
Not a chance in hell. I'm not a big Baker Mayfield fan, but Mason old Rudolph, even though he hasn't seen Miles since last year, throwing his helmet and styling and doing whatever the hell he's doing in the offseason, Myles Garrett is not the same Myles Garrett. Defensive player of the year, possibly. It's going to be a completely different Browns team against this Pittsburgh Steelers team. Mayweather, or whatever you want to call him, Baker Mayfield. I would call him Mayweather because he'll be Mayweathered all off on the field and knocking out the great Mason Rudolph. I'm going with Baker. Baker's going to have a better game. So I'm going to buy that.
Buy or sell. Giannis's new contract and the Bucks' early season struggles make them now the favorites to trade for James Harden.
I'm going to buy that one. I would have given it to the Nets, but then when he got hurt, I'm going to go buying that one. I think the Bucks are going to do everything they possibly can to keep this guy happy. Because the last thing they want is to have an Anthony Davis situation where he signs an extension and he says, nope, I want out. He just literally signed this extension, then they get clobbered by the Knicks. And I'm sure Giannis is thinking, boy, did I do this too quickly? Did I do this out of peer pressure by the media to do this? So I think they're going to do everything they can to make him happy, and I'm going to buy that. I think Harden will be a Milwaukee Buck eventually.
I am going to sell it big time. First of all, you don't need another shooter after what Middleton did last week. They don't need any more shooters. It doesn't make any more sense to bring in another shooter, and James Harden will just screw up the team even worse. So I will sell that. I think James Harden has a better chance of going to Miami than going to Milwaukee. So I'm selling that baby, selling it down to the ground, and burying it 6 feet under.
All right, you mentioned Sagano earlier, but the one that signed last week was Kohei Arihara. So buy or sell, he will top his numbers with Japan last season with the Rangers this season. He had 3.46 ERA and a 1.17 whip.
And it's going to be tough because in that new ballpark, I don't know if it's as much of a hitter's ballpark as it was in Arlington, where their old stadium was. By the way, the Texas Rangers' new baseball stadium is absolutely hideous. Can I just throw that out there? It's disgusting. There's nothing about it that looks nice.
It's a home run stadium.
Yeah, it looks horrible. The stadium looks like garbage. I don't even know what they did. It looks like MetLife Stadium. They put no effort into building it. So I will sell that one. I think it's going to be tough. I mean, he had a nice year, but I'm going to sell that. I don't think Arihara is going to have as good of a year as he did in Japan as he will this year in the majors.
There's no way Arihara is going to have a better season that he had in Japan this season going to Texas. There's no way. Stadium's a home run stadium, and we all know about the Japanese pitchers, a.k.a. Yu Darvish, tipping his pitches and giving up a lot of home runs. I think that's a huge problem. And we've seen that with the Yankees, too, with Tanaka. So Japanese pitchers have problems keeping the ball in the stadium. So I'm going to sell that. I do not believe he's going to have the season like he had in Japan.
Buy or sell. Of the 5 borderline playoff teams in the AFC, the Titans, Colts, Dolphins, Ravens, and Browns, 3 of them will lose their game this week.
I'll sell it. I think most of them are going to win. The one I get worried about is the Cleveland Browns games. First off, they're better teams than they are anyway. I'll tell you this, if Baltimore gets in, that's a scary team to think about. So I'll sell that one.
I'm definitely selling that because I think at least 3 of these teams are definitely going to make the playoffs. They're going to be fighting for a playoff spot and trying to squeeze in the playoff win. So I am going to buy it. I think 3 teams will definitely make the playoffs and squeeze into the playoffs. So I am going to buy it.
All right, let's go to hockey. Because of the shortened season, 56-game season, there will be an all-star caliber or superstar player traded within a team's first 25 games this season.
That's a great question. I'll buy that. And the team that I'm thinking of right honestly, it's Chicago Blackhawks. They are now rebuilding, and the question now is with Patrick Kane. If they struggle out of the gate, do they get a haul back for him? Somebody will give a haul back for him. And a team that I look at now, it's going to be tough with the salary. And Arrow's going to pull me crazy. When I
Go ahead, say the Rangers. Go ahead.
No. I was going to say the New York Islanders, actually.
I was
going to say the New York Islanders. I think the New York Islanders are a team that could definitely be interested in Patrick Kane if they can figure out the salary cap stuff and dump more salary before the trade deadline. And Patrick Kane would be the perfect fit for the New York Islanders. I think he could be the finishing piece for them. You're wrong. So thanks for assuming. And you know what they say about assuming for somebody like you? You make it out of ass of you and yourself.
Shut up, you. First of all, if you're going to say Patrick Kane, I think it's more Buffalo. He's from Buffalo. I think he would like to play for his hometown. Buffalo has a lot of prospects. They have a lot of good players.
That's choice.
I could see Patrick Kane, if he's going to go to a New York team, more likely to Buffalo.
Buffalo Sabres still stink.
Yeah, well, you stink. Sell that. Not happening in 25 games. At the trade deadline, I will buy that. But 25 games, no. So I'm going to sell that.
Isn't the trade deadline going to be within
I don't think so.
games?
No, because it's 57 games, right?
It's 56 games, and I think it's going to be still more in the second half of the season, from what I heard.
Yeah. So I'm gonna sell that. No, I think they'll wait until the trade deadline. I do think a superstar will be traded at the trade deadline and going to a team that might be a Stanley Cup competitive team. So yes, I would sell yes after the 25 games. I will sell that for the first 25 games. So there you go.
All right. Tamayuki Sagano will sign with either the Mets or Yankees.
I'm going to buy that. I actually do think it's going to be the New York Mets that do. I think the Mets are going to go the route of Springer, and then they're going to get, I would say, 1 or 2 middle-of-the-rotation pitchers in Sagano and maybe Odorizzi. And look, I did read on Twitter by one of the Met reporters the other day that in the next day or so they are going to sign somebody. And coincidentally, Sagano's, I think, deadline to put in an offer is, I think, tomorrow. Then you have to agree with him by January 7th. So it's coming down to that. What I heard is they're very heavily involved in them, so I'll buy that. Even with Tanaka said he's either going to stay with the Yankees or he's going back to Japan.
I am going to buy that. I think the Yankees are definitely interested in Sagano, especially the international money that they have over the last couple of years. They have the most in the major league, so if they want Sagano, they can get Sagano.
I don't believe they're one of the finalists, though, for the final.
Of course not, because the Yankees are going to sit back and wait and see what kind of money that this guy's going to get. So obviously their name's not going to be brought up. But I could see the Yankees or the Mets getting the kid. So I know Josh thinks the Mets are going to get everybody, but that's just Josh.
I actually don't, and I don't think they're getting Bauer or anything. So
well, finally you opened up your eyes. You're not blinded by your own thoughts.
Well, it's not about being blind. They could get Bauer. They just don't want to give him over $200 million.
They're not getting Bauer.
What idiot would give over $200 million to him?
The Yankees?
Again, what idiots would give him over $200 million?
The Yankees. So, there you go.
Josh Allen will be the leading rusher in the Bills-Dolphins game this week.
That's going to be a sell because he's probably not even going to play. So, I'm going to sell that one.
Well, it's if he does play, obviously.
If he does play... No, I'll still give it to Singletary. I think Dabble and McDermott are going to try to keep this play calling as easy as possible in regards to Josh Allen. That's really what it comes down to. They don't want to put him in any injury risk, as they say, right before the playoffs, so they'll keep it easy for him. So I'll sell that one.
Josh Allen is definitely going to play, and I don't think they're going to keep it easy. They're going to try to win the game. They need the game. And they need to win the game because they want to position themselves in the best spot possibly they can, and that's the second seed where they believe they should be having home field advantage. Besides Kansas City, they should have home field advantage all the way through the playoffs, besides if they have to play Kansas City in the AFC title game. So I'm going to buy that Allen is going to go out there and he's going to play a fabulous game. He's going to be more than just standing there in a pocket and just throwing lobs. He's going to throw it down the field and make plays. I'd like to throw a football at your head, little Jay. That's what I'd rather do. I should ask.
I like to throw a lot of things at you, but I won't mention them on the air.
Well, that's good. Well, I don't want to know. How's that sound?
That's fine by me.
Okay.
All right, last one. Buy or sell. With the slow start, it's evident that the Golden State Warriors will not be a playoff team.
I'm going to buy that. I think they're really off to a really, really rough start. And Steph Curry looks so off since the injury happened.
He's awful. Overrated.
Yeah, he looks terrible. They're going to get another high draft pick. You hope that Klay Thompson comes back next year, and it's kind of...
It's not going to make a difference. They're done.
We'll see.
They're done.
I mean, I think they're done, so I'm going to sell that one.
They're done. Klay Thompson is done. Steph Curry was always done. Overrated. I've been telling you fans for the longest time, he's not a top point guard of all time. You're lost. And I proved my point that Kyrie Irving is a better all-around point guard than Stephy Curry. But, yeah, I don't think they're going to be a good team this year. I do think they'll be a possible playoff team, maybe a 9th. They'll be fighting for that 9th or 10th seed. I don't think they're as bad as they were last year, even without Klay Thompson. I think they still have enough talent to compete. So I'm going to buy that they're not going to be a playoff team, but they'll be a borderline playoff team. I'm going to buy that Steph Curry is not the same player he once was, but I'm going to sell that Steph Curry will get worse as the season moves forward. So there you go. Oh, crunch time, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, as everybody knows, Josh Silverberg, Little J, doesn't always, or actually never wins. But that's just the way the cookie crumbles.
There is no winner and losers. The listeners are always the winners.
Oh, well, hold on one second. The listeners are listening to us, and they can vote who won.
And they're always the winners because we don't even ever have a poll. So
Yeah,
therefore, your information is...
Speedy is the poll, okay? Ask Speedy who won that.
Of course he's going to say you. Because he knows he's coming back to the studio on Monday, and he knows if he doesn't, you're going to beat him around.
A lot of these questions are still going to be determined for a while, so we'll never know.
Yeah, well, there you go. Your point is moot.
Yeah, well, kiss my rear end. How's that sound?
I'd rather pass on that.
Well,
I don't think anybody wants to go near your rear end.
Anyways, that's it for our show, ladies and gentlemen.
This
I
show
hope
was
everybody...
wild.
I hope everybody had a good time. We had a great time. Remember, it's the new year, guys. Stay careful, stay safe. Remember, it's still COVID-19 time, so a lot of people are coming down with it. Take the vaccine if you have the chance to take the vaccine. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but be safe, take care. We will be back next week, as always, on Saturday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. New York Eastern Time. Speedy, do you have anything to say before we go?
Yes, hopefully everyone has a happy and safe new year, and obviously, hopefully, better than your 2020.
Oh, definitely better than 2020. How about you, Joshua? Little JJ.
I just wanted to say thank you, like I said, again, as I said earlier, to all the listeners out there for lending us your ears this past year. I know it was a tough year for everybody. We hope we were a bit of a distraction for all you guys and girls out there. And I do want to thank everyone, Speedy, for letting me join the Weekend Crunch. It's really been an honor and a privilege to be on with you guys. I have so much fun doing it, and thank you. Really appreciate it.
The honor is ours, Little J. That's all I'm going to say.
Thank you. And thanks to 103.9 as well, for sure.
Absolutely. We have a great year planned for all the fans. Definitely download our app by going to Apple, WWSRN, or Android Worldwide Sports Radio Network. We will be back next week, as always, only on 103.9, The Weekend Crunch, here on the LI News Radio Network.